Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Still in Love podcast. This is episode 11, and today we're talking about...
My spouse is defensive.
Wow.
We have a lot of that from people, from a lot of married couples that communicate that it's difficult to communicate with their spouse because they're so defensive, and it's hard, and it's very difficult because they don't know what to do, because whenever they express a concern, whenever they can express any type of
Negative.
and not just negative.
Okay.
Any type of concern, any type of feeling, any type of emotion, they spouse take it a certain way. They take offense to it, and they become very defensive. And so I want to talk about that.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go there. Where do you think defensiveness comes from? Like a spouse, you go to your wife or husband and you say, hey, just expressing something, and their initial reaction is to be defensive, to defend themselves, to kind of put up this guard, which means do not enter. Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from a variety of places.
Okay.
I think one of the main places that it comes from is a place of fear.
Okay. Fear. What am I afraid of?
Afraid of being hurt.
Okay.
Afraid of being rejected. Afraid of being let down. Afraid of not being held down. And so it's this, I was reading, and it gave a list of things that talked about that. It said being afraid of rejection, having low self-esteem. This is why some people feel, why they become defensive. And I think this is so important. Lacking confidence, fear and failure, avoiding conflict, childhood trauma. Those things are important to where, or they're very essential. And it's good to know that, because childhood trauma could cause defensiveness, anxiety, a reaction to shame or guilt, hiding the truth. Some people are defensive because they're hiding the truth. They don't want people to know who they are. They don't want people to know about this particular issue.
They don't want to be seen.
They don't want to be seen, so they hide the truth.
Right.
Or learned behavior from childhood, response to criticism of your behavior or character. So there's a lot of different things that cause defensiveness. And I think, and we just sped through them, but we could have broken down each and every last one of them. Insecurity and low self-esteem. And so when you're dealing with that, I've dealt with people that had low self-esteem, and that's what you got from them. When it was low self-esteem, you could say something, and you could just be communicating that, this is how I feel about something. And if it involves them, they become defensive. They become tense, because you can communicate a concern, but they take the concern as an attack.
And I can certainly see that, especially if I'm in a place where I am not fully secure in who I am, and my esteem may not be where it really needs to be. So I don't have a really good view of myself.
That's right.
I'm not looking at myself in the right way. So I could definitely see how I would put up my guard and say, hey, stay out of that, keep out of that. But, being defensive can be very dangerous. And in a relationship, it could certainly cause some challenges, because in a relationship, there is a lot of communicating needs. And if I am not meeting a need, then you're probably going to communicate that. And based on the healthiness of my personal esteem will determine how I receive that. Because if you tell me I'm not doing something right, or in a manner in which you want me to do it, and my esteem is not where it needs to be, my confidence is not where it needs to be, I'm just not feeling the way I need to about myself, and I'm not viewing things, my perception is off even with myself, how I perceive that, I will see that as an attack. Because the thing about esteem is this, like, having healthy esteem means that you are aware of the good and the bad,
That's
and you
right.
see it in a very healthy way. When I can see it that way, I understand that I'm not perfect. And I am more apt to take some criticism and say, "Oh wow, okay, I can do better in it," because I know that I have the ability to do better. But when your esteem is low and it's poor, you don't feel confident in your abilities to do things, to respond in a proper way. So if my esteem is not on point, I see that as an attack because I don't feel like I have it in me to do better in that particular area, because I'm not looking at myself as if I have the capability or the capacity to do that. So a lot of the conflict sometimes in marriage is because the esteem is likely off sometimes with the husband or
With the
the
wife. That's
wife.
right. That's right.
And so yeah, your esteem plays a really big part in some of that defensiveness.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because it's you're making your spouse pay for your insecurities or your
Yeah,
low self esteem. And
absolutely.
that's why it's important prior to marriage that you
Work through as much
work
as
through as
you
much as you
can.
can,
Absolutely.
become a better you. We did a sermon series called A Better Me. So before you get married, make sure you're working on you. You know, and even while you're married, people get married and they stop working.
Yep.
And I think that's the frustration. I've heard that from several people, particularly men. They feel like, man, I got married and I got tricked. I got married and
Well, because I got the prize.
you know
The
this.
goal was to get married, not to stay. I mean, you kind of feel like once you get in it, you'll do what you got to do to keep it. But the goal is no. The goal is for me to get down this aisle, get this ring to say I do. Mission accomplished. All right, girl, I got him now.
Yeah. And then the work stops.
Yeah.
And
A
and,
little
and
bit.
and your spouse is paying for that because the work stops. And so he's communicating a concern, and the concern becomes an attack. So he communicates, hey, listen, I think that, that you should wear this, or I think that, I would love to see the house clean. And she takes it as, you think I'm dirty, you think I'm nothing, you think, hey, look, I would love for you to wear this. You think I'm fat, you don't like how I look in this. I would love for, it becomes frustrated because only thing he's saying is this is what I would love, and she sees it totally different.
Right.
You know what's frustrating
What's that?
is when I communicate my concerns and communicating, this is how this make me feel. And when that's not acknowledged, and when there's an excuse, and when it's overlooked, and when it's dismissed, I feel some kind of way. And I think that's what happens in marriage. You see that oftentimes, the husband or the wife will communicate, this is how this makes me feel. And rather than the person addressing that and dealing with that, they dismiss it, or they invalidate their feelings and make them pay for feeling the way that they feel. So you're making me pay for feeling how I'm feeling, or you're trying to justify yourself, or blame shift. So now you're playing the blame game. Like, well, you the reason. Well, because you did this, because you said this, because I do this because of this right here, rather than owning it. And what happens to your spouse is make your spouse feel that they're not heard. See, in communication, you have to make sure when your spouse communicates something to you that you may not like, when they communicate something to a concern that they have, the first thing you do is to let them know that they are heard.
Yep.
So we talked about this before. Seek first to understand, then be understood. Sometimes when communication takes place, rather than listening to them, you're just listening to respond, rather than listening to understand. So it's important that you listen. Let me listen to him. Let me listen to her to understand what it is that they're saying. And just because they have a problem with something that I'm doing or that I'm not doing, I can't look at that as an attack. Because when I look at that as an attack, I'm blame shifting, or I'm giving an excuse why I do what I do, or I'm, well, if you wouldn't have said this, then I wouldn't have said that, or you do it as well. So what about when you do it? And it makes your spouse feel this big, because it's, how did I express what I expressed, and it was not even acknowledged. It was not even heard. And I think that happens with kids as well.
Yeah.
When kids communicate to their parents, this is how this made me feel. And parents don't acknowledge it. You have to listen and acknowledge what the person, even if you don't agree with it, acknowledge that you heard them. Because people want to be seen And people want to be what?
Heard.
They want to be heard.
Yep.
So now I'm expressing myself to you, and I'm not heard. I'm dismissed. I'm blamed. I'm the blame for feeling the way that I'm feeling. That's on you for feeling like that.
Yep.
You feel like that. That's your opinion.
Yep.
That's how you feel, rather than saying, I hear you. Can you explain that a little bit further? Can you really elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're saying, and repeating back what it is that your spouse has communicated to you. So that's so important in marriage. You have the art of communication is paramount in marriage.
Yep.
Resolving conflict is paramount in marriage. And sometimes people miss these essential tools of communication, and you suffer in marriage, or your spouse suffers in marriage because of a lack of conflict resolution, a lack of communication skills. And I think it's important to continue to work on that, in your marriage.
Do you remember a time where you felt like I was defensive?
Last week,
Stop it. What was I defensive about?
when I told you not to talk to me the way you talk to me and feel the way I feel, when I told you when I told you how I felt
About what?
about your response to me when I ask you something and you act like I'm getting on your nerves.
So listen. So okay.
And
so
you did
you
not
felt
acknowledge
like
it at all. You was like,
so wait.
okay. I'm like, okay.
So wait a minute. So but you felt like that was I was defensive? I don't feel like that was me being defensive. I just didn't acknowledge what you wanted me to acknowledge. I mean, that was defensive?
Yes.
I don't think that was being defensive
No, I
because
got a
I
list.
was not trying.
Yeah. What
I don't care about your list. I wasn't defensive.
Okay.
I just said, okay.
Okay.
All right.
No, it's more than that. And
I ain't say nothing else.
No,
I let you say what you was gonna say.
And you said the reason I do that is because you be wanting me to think about stuff right here. And I'm like, I said, regardless of what I do, you can't make me feel like that.
And I said, you're right. You're absolutely right,
say I'm
honey.
right.
You're absolutely
Okay.
right, honey. I said, honey, you are absolutely right. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, my Lord. Please forgive me,
So what?
my Lord.
That's what you said.
I said, please, I humbly fall at your feet, my Lord. Please forgive me, my King.
You did not say it. But go ahead. I know
That's what I was feeling on the inside. I was feeling like that's what I'm supposed to say. Like, yes, my King, my
But
Lord.
what did you say? Get your tail up out of here.
I said, no, I didn't.
I said, I'm finna go and work out. Get your tail up out of here.
That is not what I said. I said, okay. I said, okay. Okay.
And then you felt some kind of way for me sharing it with you. You like,
I did not feel some kind of way.
you was like, why?
I did not feel some kind of way because
did.
you shared it. I did not feel some kind of way.
Okay.
I just felt like that was one of those moments. So technically, that does not qualify as me being defensive because that I was not trying to defend myself. I just said, okay. And then remember I grabbed your hand when you got ready to walk out. And I said, my King, forgive me.
So you've been drinking?
Forgive me, my King. I have not. I just want the people to know that that's how I am behind closed doors.
Y'all pray for me.
Humble. And fully submitted.
But I know you. So you had a real question about.
I did.
Go ahead. What's the question?
It was, do you remember a time or maybe even a season? Because I feel like it has certainly been in our 20-year journey.
Yeah.
I have probably had 1 or 2 seasons where I was probably not fully on point. Do you remember a time when I was
I'm not. No, I'm
don't
serious. Go
play
ahead.
now,
Come on.
that I was defensive, did you feel like I was on defense mode?
Yes. Yeah. 1 or 2 times a month. One, 1 or 2 times a day. That, my goodness. Cut. No, no.
So
But yes,
honestly,
yeah.
okay, do you remember a time specifically?
The better question is,
What is going on
do I
today?
remember a time when you weren't? we
I
both
think
been
we both been
we both been
smoking.
drinking. We tired. We tired, y'all. We didn't get
Oh
much
my
rest when we
God.
went out of town.
Listen,
Not because of you and your. We just didn't rest. We were still working. Goodness gracious.
this podcast is making a turn that I'm almost certain it was not supposed to. It was not
Let's
supposed to
just
go
go.
this
Let's
way.
just go. Come on, y'all. We let
Okay.
y'all. We gonna let y'all in the.
So I'm asking a serious question. Go back to a time where you felt like I was really, really defensive about something. You remember a time specifically?
About something.
Yeah.
Yes. Just and it was pretty much about how I felt about. I can't remember specifically, but just how I felt about what was taking place.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and so just and I felt like it wasn't acknowledged. It wasn't heard. And just how that made me feel that it wasn't acknowledged, it wasn't heard, and I felt that it was I was made to feel that I was the reason or I was the cause or what I feel is not valid, and it's and it was like this is what I feel, and acknowledge that. And I remember times when you would which blessed me when you begin to acknowledge and to hear, and to repeat. It was a blessing.
So I've gotten better.
Yes, you have. Absolutely.
God.
Yeah,
Praise
big
God.
time.
Praise God.
Big time. Yeah, I
Amen
mean,
for growth.
amen. Amen. Yeah, it's but I'm gonna tell you what helped me as well, because seeing it's that balance of this, and you have to be really careful. Some of those times it was valid. I feel, especially early on, where I was more critical, and I didn't realize how critical I was. And so being critical would cause someone to protect themselves from someone that's being critical. And so when you were able to communicate that to me, that this is not you expressing a concern, you're being critical. That's a cause for defensiveness, and so I had to learn that, just the coach in me, the leader in me, the getting up and let's go, you by you expressing to me that I'm not a player on the field. You're not my coach. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get. I'm ready. We're gonna grow right here. We're gonna do this. And you expressing it to me, it was not my intentions to be critical, but it was just I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to go. I feel like we stand still right here, and I'm ready to progress to the next level. And I'm hard on myself. I'm critical of myself. And so what you were communicating is that the same criticalness that you have upon yourself, you bring that to me.
Right.
I'm looking at it to where, no, I mean, I love myself. I'm just hard on myself, and I'm checking myself and challenging myself and saying, man, you got to go. You got to get up. You got to do it. Let's go. And I will bring that same thing to you.
Yep.
And I realized that you were different. Like, you didn't need that. That didn't motivate you. That demotivated you.
Right.
So I think we had two things working. You had me being critical,
Yeah.
and you being defensive.
Yep.
Then I think I moved from a place of being critical, and I was, I feel like I came correct, and you were still at a place at times where you in seasons where you were defensive and working through that. But I think it's on both ends. I had to work. You had to work.
Yep.
You have times where you have a spouse that's defensive, and they dealing with a spouse that's really communicating how they feel. And so you have to watch that and work on that defensiveness. And you have another spouse is being critical and perceive that spouse is being defensive, and they're not being defensive. They're protecting themselves from their critical spouse, And so
that's why I asked, because I definitely remember seasons where I just feel like, of course, my esteem was in a very challenging season.
Yep.
And there was no way that I could be healthy mentally, emotionally, and you not bear the brunt of some of that, which, of course, led to my esteem being a certain place, me not being able to take any criticism because it was almost likened to I'm already in a fragile place. And when you are fragile, you have to be handled with care. But the only problem with that is most of the time, if you're in a fragile state emotionally, you're the only one that knows that you're in that fragile state.
Yes.
So you don't even have the confidence or even the trust to share that much of yourself with your partner. So with your fragile self, someone comes to you and it messes. You don't have you're so busy trying to keep yourself together that somebody coming to say something messes that up, and you don't have the wherewithal to really take in what it is that they're saying to you because of your fragile state.
Girl.
You can't take it in. You're emotionally distraught for whatever reason, and you just can't handle it. And unfortunately, I feel like some seasons of my life, it was probably like that longer than I desired for it to be. And I attribute a lot of that to just not being in the best place, I think, emotionally, or not being in a place of growth where you're challenging some of the stuff about you that's not all together, that's not right. Yes. So you give up. I give up this right or even this desire, and I'm really grateful for that too. But the whole desire to even be perfect, to even be perceived as perfect, to be looked at as perfect, like it's too heavy of a weight, and it takes too much energy, and all the energy that you're spending trying to protect yourself in this very fragile state could honestly, if you drop it, you could spend just as much time, effort, and energy into healing yourself. Yes. Calling a time out and being healed. Like, you know what?
But what does that look like?
What does getting healed look like?
Because yes, when you're defensive, and when you're insecure, and when you're fearful, and fear and rejection, and some of these things that I named, how do you get healed of that? Because if you don't get healed, it will continue to perpetuate itself.
You have to know where the problem is. I can go to the doctor and I can say, hey, I'm not feeling well. They're going to start asking me some probing questions. Okay, tell me what's hurting you. Tell me what doesn't feel good. And I can't sit in there and just say, well, I don't know. I just don't feel good. Because that's where many of us would be. I don't know. I just don't feel good. I don't know what I don't really know where I'm hurting, or I won't acknowledge where I'm hurting. I just know that I'm hurting. Well, I had to acknowledge, like, all right, what is this core fear? Like, what is it that I'm afraid of? Well, for me, in some areas, I'm afraid of really being seen. Because if I'm really, really seen, then maybe it may be a chance that I won't really be loved. So in order for me I'm not going to even get there. How about I just keep myself in this little... in my own little fragile hands, and it's acknowledging where you're hurting. Where is the point of pain? Where is that pain point? What is it that's making you do what you do? What is it that's making you want to protect yourself? What is it that you are afraid of being exposed? What is it? Because you keep it in the dark, light can't get in. Jesus ain't getting in there. He's not coming in there. And you can be saved and sanctified and a believer, but if you're not letting the real doctor, the real healer in those places, you will be saved. You'll be loving the Lord. You heaven bound. But while you're here on this earth, you are living a very defeated life. So, I think it's identifying the place of hurt, the point of hurt. And this is one of those instances when it's time for you to really kind of step up and deal with you and work through and on your own healing. It's important to acknowledge the past and how you got there. But what's more important is that you acknowledge, what is it that I'm trying to protect myself from? What is hurting me? What is really, really hurting me? And then you move from there. You take that to the Lord. And I don't say that to sound super, super spiritual, or I don't say that to sound like, oh, all you got to do is take it to the Lord. The mere acknowledgement of where my pain is huge. You even have to go before the Lord and say, hey, God, help me to see. Help me to see what it is that I'm not seeing. Because we do. That's why we coming in and we that's why sometimes we mask. We do a lot of things to mask our pain. We change our bodies to mask how we really feel. We drink because we're masking. We're smoking. We're getting in relationships that we know are no good for us because we're all running from this place of pain. Well, move all that other stuff out the way and just say, God, show me where this pain is. Show me where I'm really hurting. Yes. Show me what is really at the core of this. And then you take it from there. I think it's different for everybody because everybody's place of pain is different. So I can't tell you, oh, do X, Y, Z. What I can tell you is start with asking God where that place is. God, show me. Yeah. And as he does that, as he shows you what that point, that place of pain is, then that's what you begin to take before him. Okay, God, I know that you're the healer. Now you're going to have to lead me. Sometimes you're going to be led to go to therapy. You're going to be led to have conversations. You're going to be led to just simply sit sometimes in you not being well and allow the doctor, the great physician, to heal you.
Come on, girl.
And that takes time. And you're not going to be able to rush that. Some healing you cannot rush through. And as he leads you and as he guides you as the good shepherd, you have to be the sheep that you are and allow the shepherd to lead you and guide you. And I said this the other night, like we often forget that God is our great shepherd and that there is this rod and his staff. There is one that comforts us and there is one that corrects us. And we never have to worry about going so far that the shepherd can't. He's going to lead us in every single area of our lives. And when you go too far, that rod of correction gets you right on back where you need to be. And then when you need to be comforted and pulled a little closer to the shepherd, when you get a little afraid as the sheep, that's when that staff comes in and hooks you right around the neck and pulls you closer to the shepherd. So we can't forget, God literally is the source of everything that we need. Even in your esteem, God is what you need, and the Lord fully understands what it is that you need. Yes. So when we look to other things, like, no, get your answers, get your cues from him, and he'll lead you and guide you exactly where you need to be. So that's how we get the ball rolling on not being so defensive. It starts with the acknowledgement you are defending yourself against something. And it is pain that's at the core of why you feel like you need to defend yourself. You ever I'm sure you have, playing football, fail and hurt yourself, or you're experiencing some level of pain in your body. And when somebody comes around you, you protect yourself to keep them from hitting that place of pain. So I remember having surgery last year, and MJ, I saw him running towards me. So I braced myself because I'm like, well, you can't jump on me like you normally would. So I braced myself and I covered myself so that when I came in contact with him, he wouldn't hurt me. Same thing in a relationship. We brace ourselves so we know that, I know where this conversation get ready to go. I know he getting ready to say something to me that he doesn't. I know I don't like the way this. So we brace ourselves for contact with our place of pain.
It's good.
And I think for a season, sometimes, we do what we have to do. However, you can't stay there. Brother friend, sister friend, you can't stay there. And now that my body is healed, he can run to me. I can run to him. I take it to him sometime, like, come here, boy, because I'm healed. Yeah. That part of me, you can have contact with me now. I'm not afraid of you running to me. I'm not afraid to bring it to you because that part of me is healed. And that's how it is when our emotions get healed, when our esteem is high, and not in a prideful way, but having high esteem just simply means, hey, listen, I am emotionally stable. I understand that not only do I have a lot of strengths, but there are some weaknesses that exist, and I am fully confident in the Lord in those weaknesses. And that's okay. I understand listen, honey, getting me is getting a lot of stuff. Yes. And the stuff that ain't right, or the stuff that's weaknesses, the Lord is there to be strength in those areas. So, and I get that. And so now, if you're bringing me a problem or something that I need to acknowledge outside of last week, if you're bringing that to me, then now I'm able to look at that and say, Tori, you do have not only the confidence in the Lord, but you have the ability to do something about that. When your esteem is not on point, you really don't feel like you can do much about anything. It is a little sense of hopelessness. It's a little bit of discouragement. And it's all of those things that's wrapped up sometimes in our esteem. And esteem is just how you're viewing yourself, how you look at yourself. So if I'm looking at myself poorly, I can't let you come up in here because only I can think about myself poorly. I don't want to hear about you thinking about me poorly. Right. I can't take that. So,
and here's the thing. You said something that's very important. You have to acknowledge the fact that there's an issue. You have to acknowledge the fact that there's a sickness. You have to acknowledge the fact that you're unsafe. Yes. And when you don't acknowledge that issue, you don't acknowledge the fact that you're defensive. Jesus said that those who are well, they don't need a physician. Yep. In other words, you think you good. You think you okay. Your spouse has been telling you over and over and over again that you're defensive, that they can't say anything to you, that when they say something to you, you feel some kind of way, and you somehow, some way put it back on them. You blame them. You make them feel bad for even communicating what they've communicated, and you won't even acknowledge the fact that you have an issue. So that's why you still have that issue, because you won't even acknowledge it, that I have an issue, that I have some places in my life where I feel unsafe, where I feel unprotected, where I feel that, insecure, where I feel my esteem is low. Because especially for men, that's too much like weakness. Low self-esteem, insecure. Oh no, not me. And so when you don't acknowledge that, see, it's strength when you're able to acknowledge it. Listen, I got a problem. Yes. Listen, I have a problem, and I don't care, and I need your help. Yep. When I got saved and I came to the Lord, I got a problem. Yep. I got a drug problem. I got a lust problem. I got a line problem. I got a club problem. I got a problem. Yep. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. Yeah. I'm not trying to pretend that I don't. Yeah. I got a problem, and God, I need you to help me. Yep. The only thing that's gonna keep me from doing what I used to do is you, God, because if you don't come in, I'm going to do that again. So it's acknowledging that. Yeah. And he was able to come in and heal that in me and help me in there. But if I was protected, I'm good. I ain't got no lust problem. Yeah. I'm good. I ain't got no problem. I'm good. Yep. See, and what people do oftentimes is that they protect themselves not only from people, they protect themselves from God. Yes. So you're not letting people in, and neither are you letting God in. No. When you are controlling, or when you so protective, those people are not just controlling with their spouse, they controlling and protective with God as well. Yeah. You don't let people in. That's an indication you don't let God in. Yeah. It's people who allow people to get in a healthy manner. Yeah. They allow God to get in. Yeah. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. It's a reflection of if you don't let your spouse in, unless your spouse is just he's proven to be unsafe, proven to cheat, proven to just drag you through the mud, and you can't let them in. That's one thing. Yeah. But if you have somebody that really love you, that's for you, and you still hold them at bay, it's a great chance that you're holding God at bay as well. And so it's acknowledging the fact that, hey, listen, you can't even get saved without acknowledging the fact, listen, I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
I'm a sinner in need of a savior.
Yes.
You're the savior, and I need you.
Come on now.
Save me from
on
myself.
now.
Save
Yes,
me from
sir.
my sins.
Yes.
And now you can be saved.
Yes.
If you can't acknowledge that, he can't save you.
Right.
Because you saved yourself.
Yeah.
And that's oftentimes what defensive, you saving yourself, you protecting yourself. And you have to go to that place of healing. So defensive.
Yep.
Well, okay. How do I know I'm defensive? How I know I'm defensive? Let's have a conversation.
Okay,
I'm
let's
the
do it.
defensive one.
Well,
Bring an
sometimes
issue
it
to
happens.
me. Bring an issue to me. I heard that too. With your
Pretty
sly
self.
You all right.
Okay. Let's fix that.
Look, all right, let's go.
I'm waiting on you to fix it.
You pretty.
Let's try it again.
You beautiful. You the most beautiful thing I ever in my life saw.
Praise God.
All right, can we go now?
We can.
You know you gorgeous, girl.
Okay.
You hear me?
I do.
You know I get you right here.
Let's not go there. You took it
Nah,
where it didn't
see,
even
because,
need
see,
to go.
I just want you to know how I roll.
Where were we going? This honey, this here podcast.
We're gonna call it
We
This Your
tied.
Podcast.
We
We ain't tired.
Who ain't?
I've been running this race for a long, long time. I'm not tired yet. All right, let's go. All right, let's go. So we're going to depict a defensive spouse. This is how it plays out. Just express a concern that you have with me. You know, not a real one, but just.
Oh no, let's. We real on
you
this.
don't come home on
We
time,
are
and
real,
this right
relevant,
here-
and relational.
That's right, we are.
Let's be real.
But let's go.
So hey, babe. So I noticed that there are some items in the garage that I've been saying that need to go to the garbage. And they're still there. I know your schedule is crazy. I mean, we just were hardly at home, just all of this, stuff. But do you think that we could get it done by the weekend?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna be by the weekend. I'm gonna get it done. I told you I was gonna get it done.
I know, but it's been in there for a while, and I just, is there anything I can do?
Anything I can do about your closet?
There's nothing wrong with my closet.
Well, I mean, you telling me about the garage. I mean, look at your closet. Why you worrying about me doing the garage and your closet look like your closet look?
But my closet is, because I'm bringing this to you. You didn't have a problem with my closet.
But I'm saying, so why do you have a problem with me? I said I'm gonna get it. I don't bring your closet up, or it's things that you do too. Like,
Because
I said something about the dishes. You don't get it when I ask you to do the dishes.
I don't do
every
dishes
time.
because I don't do dishes. However, I'm bringing the issue.
So you can tell me you don't do dishes, but I don't do garages then.
Yeah. So if that is your spouse, let's pray. Father,
because people but see, listen, that's what people are dealing with.
I know, I get that.
That is what they're dealing with.
Get it. I know.
And rather than you communicating that to me and me owning that and saying, hey, listen, I know I've been saying I was gonna get it. Ain't no excuse. I'm gonna make it happen by this weekend. I'm gonna make it happen. My bad. It's been on my mind, but I just been running. I got it. I got it this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not what happened. It's what I tried to blame you. Like, or if you move your car back, then then I can get it out the garage. Or I blame shift. Like, what about what you didn't do the dishes or you didn't do your closet? And it's why am I trying to defend myself? Why am I not owning it? And see, it's a lack of ownership. When you defensive, you don't own anything. When your spouse brings something to you, you don't own it.
Yep.
You put it back on them and so now you'll leave this conversation feeling worse than you did before you came to the conversation.
Yep.
I asked him because I have a a concern about the garage.
Right.
See, even in marriage, there's certain things that you have to learn. And it's this, not I have a problem with this. We change the words from problem to concern. Hey, here's my concern. Not here's my problem. It's certain things that I want you to put in your toolbox.
Yes.
To understand that, no, I don't have a problem.
Yep.
It's certain things you don't communicate when things in your marriage is not on point. These are things you don't communicate. I'm not happy.
You know what?
You don't communicate that. You communicate, hey, look, this is how I'm feeling, and it's concerning to me. I'm feeling, just deflated. I'm feeling like I'm the only one working, and I'm getting. So you're being honest, but you're choosing your words wisely. But that's too much like work.
Yep.
That's too much like wisdom.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
too much like
Yep.
seeking first to understand, then
Yep.
be understood.
Yep.
That's too much like, let me die into my flesh
Yep.
rather than just saying what I want to say, doing what I want to do, moving how I want to move. No, I gotta wait. I have to pause and choose my words wisely.
Yep.
And so your spouse is saying that to you. Look, this is what you do. You make excuses. You don't listen. You bring up the past. You justify your actions. You blame your spouse for what they're criticizing you for. I did a lot of that, what I just communicated.
Right.
I blame you for what you bringing to me.
Yep.
You ain't did it.
Yep.
Why you bringing it to me?
Yep.
Your stuff ain't. But she's saying, look, you didn't say anything about my closet.
Until I said something to you about the garage.
And I said something about the dishes. And so her responsibility is not the dishes, but what make my responsibility be the garage. Like, and you making your spouse feel like, man, like you this is ridiculous. Like, I have married an idiot. I've married a fool. Now, don't you call your spouse an idiot or a fool.
Okay.
But that's what it's making them feel like.
Right.
How in the world can I not express a concern that I have about the garage because I'm looking to have company, or it's going to be rats over here if we don't get this done,
Yep.
and you have a problem with me for having a problem with the garage not being done. I am not attacking. I remember it was a time when you were in a place of being defensive, and I had to really communicate that I am not attacking you.
Yep.
I'm addressing this issue.
Yes, sir.
So defensive people see everything as an attack.
Yes.
Rather than somebody addressing this issue.
Yes.
You're not the problem. The garage is the problem. And you're responsible for that.
You're
so
right.
can you make that happen?
Right.
Hey, own it. I did say I was going to get that garage.
Yep.
I did say,
Yep.
let me own this. Let
Yep.
me accept responsibility.
Yes, sir.
And get it. And here's the thing. When I do that, I have to kill my flesh. Because I want to be perfect. I want to, you have to ask me twice to do certain things. I got it. But
Yes.
I'm not perfect.
Yes.
And I mess up.
Yes.
And I'm not on point.
Yes.
And let me communicate that and not say these things to you. See, a defensive person said, I don't say that to you when I ain't say about your closet. I ain't said when you said you was gone. We're not talking about that. Hey, if you have a concern with the closet,
Right.
hey, bring that concern to me.
Right.
And don't just bring the concern to your spouse when they brought the concern to you.
Yes. And let me say this about the individual who doesn't bring their concerns. Because oftentimes we want people to treat our stuff like we treat it. When I got a problem, or when I know that I'm not on point, or I'm really feeling some type of way about myself, again, it goes back to me holding myself so fragile. I'm not acknowledging my stuff. So I ain't gonna acknowledge your stuff because I don't want you coming over here snooping in my area either. So I tell you what, leave my stuff alone, just like I'm leaving yours alone. Yeah, you make me mad. Yeah, I see the stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff I want to expect from you too. However, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want you expecting them from me.
Yeah,
I don't want you coming over here to me. So how about we both go in our corners? 10, hold on to our own little issues, our own little, and let's just coexist. And most people, not most, I'm trying to take that out of my vocabulary. There are some individuals who desire to live like that. You leave my stuff alone, and I leave yours alone. I'm not going to acknowledge what you don't give me. I'm not going to acknowledge my expectations not being met. I'm not going to do that. I want you to leave my stuff alone, just like I'm leaving yours alone. Well, who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that? But there are individuals in this world who they want to live like that. And honestly, I feel like, let me retract some of that. I don't think that they just want to live like that. I don't think that they know that there is another way to live. That you can live whole and healthy, have expectations from people, and you can be emotionally and spiritually healthy enough to be able for somebody else, not only for you to have expectations, but for you to be able to fulfill expectations that people have of you.
Yes.
But a lot of times, listen to me, brother, there are individuals in this world, leave mine alone and I will leave yours alone. And let's just live and coexist like that. Living abundant living was not about the material things. It is being able to coexist in this world. We can live peaceably with one another. We can live at peace with each other. We can be brother and sister in Christ. We can be iron that sharpens iron. We can be all of these things that we ought to be to the world, to each other within our own home.
Yes.
But that's going to require that we put in the work for healing. We absolutely, positively have to be healed. We have to be healed. And we are no longer allowed the excuse of not being healed. We have to do the work. Right. We have to work. And we already working. We work to keep people out of our business. We work to keep people far away from us. We work to keep up facades. We work to only put out their perfection. All of the work and the energy that you are using to do that, to protect yourself, to shield yourself, could go into you working on yourself and being healed. And not just you working on yourself, because there are some things you will not be able to do. Only the Lord can do certain things in your life. But you could spend that time that you are working on perception and perfectionism. You could spend that time before the Lord, on your face, in his word, finding out what he has to say about you, as opposed to you trying to protect this brokenness that's in you. Yes. So
you know what? I want to get ready to close on this here. Okay. This is so important because we talked a lot about how to get over your defensiveness, you know, and it comes from a place of brokenness, and so you have to get healed. And so now I just want to talk a little bit before we leave about when you're in a situation, when you're in a marriage and you're dealing with a person, your spouse is extremely defensive, then what do? Because it's almost impossible for you to penetrate that hard.
Yeah.
Now what has to happen is that
only God can do it. 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 Carry on.
So it comes from a place to where where only God can do it.
I mean,
and you can either help or hurt in the process.
Come on, sir.
You can help or hurt in the process. Now you can hurt the person by showing your level of frustration with them. When you're communicating with a person that's extremely defensive, you have to understand that you're not communicating with a normal person that's healthy. Like when you mentioned MJ, he had to understand that, look, I can't come to her because she's not healthy right now. So I have to come to her a little softer. I have to be wiser in how I come to her. I have to come to her a little slower than I normally come to her. Come to her, I have to proceed with
care.
Caution.
Oh my God.
I have to proceed with caution. So listen, if your spouse is defensive, I know it's irritable. I know it makes you upset. I know you want to fight and scratch and scream and leave and sleep on the couch, and you asking yourself, why did I get married? But I want to tell you this, when you're dealing with them and there's a concern, because don't stop communicating your concerns, but when you communicate your concern, communicate and proceed with caution.
Oh, that is so good. We have to stop treating the broken as if they're whole, like they can see things in a whole manner. When you know, man, that was so good. That was so good about MJ. So he had to treat me accordingly. You have to treat your spouse accordingly.
Because
your wife, if she is coming out of a fragile state, treat her accordingly. Your husband, if he's coming out of his insecurities, he's opening himself up, he is working on himself. That's it. But we are only zero tolerant when it comes to other people, we give ourselves a whole bunch of grace,
But
and the expectation that people should always give us because we have great intentions. But when it comes to you giving it to other people, and especially your spouse, now the game has changed.
Yep.
Now the game has
But I
changed.
think
No, because you supposed to know better.
Yep.
You supposed to be
I
better.
told you this all this time.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yep.
do you want them healed?
Yep.
Or do you want them to get deeper into their insecurities and deeper into this dark place? So when they're broken in the things that you say and the things that you do, are you speaking words that's harmful words that's gonna break them even further? Or are you speaking words of healing? I'm gonna speak words of healing until the Father heals. I'm gonna speak words of healing and hope it'll encourage you and inspire you to go to the balm in Gilead who can really give you what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to proceed with caution.
That was good.
You have to watch your reaction. Let me watch my reaction. And I can't, I have to watch how I respond, because when you're dealing with somebody defensive, they're gonna say some stuff that's gonna make you want to be like, how you in the world you get that from that? How in the world you what you that sound crazy, that sound ridiculous. So now it's my fault. So watch your reactions, because you have to understand that you're dealing with a broken person.
Yep.
Now listen, this is wisdom. Even if you're sitting next to your spouse, you don't tell them, oh, I got to realize I'm dealing with a broken person, because you don't want to tell a broken person that they're broken. You don't want to tell an insecure person that they're insecure, because they will cut you off and cut you.
Yes. So proceed with caution.
When the conversation take place, it's oftentimes you want to shut down and just be quiet because it sounds so ridiculous. Don't pull away.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Yeah.
Humbly stay there.
Yeah.
And speak with pause and speak with grace, but humbly stay there. Don't pull away. Don't create a lose-win situation to where you lose and they win, and you just say, I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. You know what? I'm good on them. Stick it out. Stay there. Hey, man, we married, and I'm here with you, and I'm expressing my concern. This is not an attack. This is not an attack. This is just how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But understand as you go in that there's a probability that they're not going to receive it how you're communicating it, because they don't receive whole things the way whole people receive them. They see it from a broken place. Their lenses are broken, and you have to know that.
Yes.
But see, that's when you've grown and elevated to a place of wisdom. When you say, okay, now let me look at this thing from a different. I'm dealing with a broken individual. I'm dealing with a person that is insecure, that is unsafe for whatever reason, and I have a responsibility. I have to proceed with caution. I have to be careful of my reaction, and I have to be paused in my speech to them. I don't need to pull away when we're communicating with each other. I need to hear them, and when they speak to me, let me hear them. Let me acknowledge what they have said to me. Let me own what they say to me as well. Let me own this, because in my owning it, I am showing them what I would appreciate from them, from when they communicate to me. So it's all of these things. I hope you're taking this down. It's all of these things that's important for you to do when you're dealing with a defensive individual. You must stay calm, because it'll make you want to just
Buck the system.
Nuck if you buck. I'm telling you, it make you want to just nuck. I'm finna, but stay calm. Stay calm. Like, I'm not going to get out of hand. I'm not going to, and you came, when you spoke to me about the garage, you came so calm. And sometimes you come calm, but when the defensiveness kick in, it do something to you. Now you get just as crazy as your spouse get. Stay calm.
Yep.
Don't start criticizing them. Don't let it take over when they say stuff that's off the wall. And understand, work on conflict resolution. I'm not here to attack you, but I'm here to resolve this conflict.
Yep.
How can we resolve this conflict?
Yeah.
And watch what happens in your marriage. Watch what happens in your marriage. So that's how you deal with the defensive spouse. Because sometimes, even with the topic, Sometimes we want to, some of us got on here because, okay, I'm dealing with a defensive spouse, but it's not just about acknowledging the fact that your spouse is defensive. You know your spouse is defensive. You know it. You knew it when you came on here. Yes, I can't tell that joke or nothing. Okay. I can't say anything to him without him throwing it up in my face. I can't express how I feel without him making me feel terrible for expressing how I feel. Only thing I told the man is that I wish he spent more time with me, and then he made me feel bad. You want me to spend more time? You want me to go to work? You got to decide what you want to do. I mean, I spend time, but I spend time. And it's I just wanted to hug, man.
Just wanted a little time, yeah.
I just want you to hug. I wanted some time.
Yeah.
But now I feel I feel worse now for sharing that with you. I was saying I have a problem with the lack of time that you spend with Junior. And you, what you mean lack of time? I take him to school. and you got a problem. I don't say nothing about you. And you like, oh my goodness, How did this happen?
How do we get here? Yeah.
And you like, okay, that's fine. So in your coming on, you came on, but I hope you didn't just come on for us to validate what you already know.
Right.
Yes, your spouse is defensive.
Right.
I hope it encouraged you to say, let me flip it and change the game and approach my spouse differently.
Yep.
Because what I've been doing hadn't been working.
Yep.
Shutting down hadn't been working.
Yep.
Just giving it to them, it does not work.
Yep.
In the short game, you feel like you're winning, you're not winning.
Yep. Yep.
Take it to the Lord.
Yep.
You do all of what we just communicate and take it to the Lord and pray to the Lord to change their heart.
Yes.
Pray to the Lord to help them in their healing process. And you watch what God would do in your marriage.
Amen.
Pertaining to your defensive spouse.
Amen. That's good stuff. Good job, brother. Well, y'all, this is the close of episode 11. We have thoroughly enjoyed you, and we hope that you have enjoyed the podcast. And until next week, don't just start in love, but stay in love. See y'all later. Bye, y'all.
God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Still in Love podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has indeed blessed your life. If it has, we need you to do 3 things for us. 1, we want you to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform so that way you can be notified when a new episode drops. Number 2, we want you to review it. Click on that 5-star and let us know how much you enjoyed it. We absolutely love feedback here at the Still in Love podcast, and this helps us to make sure that we are scratching where there's an itch. And number 3, we want you to share it with a friend or family member. Also, if you have a question, we'd love to hear it and even talk about it right here on the podcast. You can submit those questions at stillinlovepodcast.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Innovation Church Memphis and on TikTok at We Are Innovation. Until next time, peace.
Don't just start in love,
but stay in love.
Thanks for tuning in to Still in Love podcast. God bless.